what you're looking at is the Federal Register. Basically, it's a repository of pretty much everything that happens within the United States government. It's published daily. And in this case, we're looking at a document put out by APHIS, the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service of the USDA. In particular, a document that addresses horse protection amendments, protecting horses. And it was put out not too long ago. It was like May of this year. The good news is, if I look at it in this PDF view, it's exhaustive. It probably details everything to do with protecting horses. The downside is it's what I would call raw information. You could send this to someone and say, here, read this, and they'd probably get a headache, and they probably wouldn't make it very far through the document unless they were probably a scientist or researcher that maybe wrote one of these documents. The point is, you couldn't learn from it. So the question is, well, how could I transform this document from information into education? Well, traditionally that's done by someone with a title of ISD, or Instructional Systems Designer, which you may guess is the art of converting information into education, structuring information so that people could learn from it. Now that's great, but it typically takes a very long time. It's a very iterative process where the someone has to transform and understand all this, organize it, extract learning objectives to figure out, well, what is important about this document? Of all this stuff, there's a lot of just fluff. There may be just boilerplate, legal stuff. But what's the essence? What do I need to know? What are the important things that I should learn if I read this document? That is what an ISD person does, and that what is traditionally takes a very long time to do. What we're going to look at today is doing all that work, all that effort of transforming this into an online course in a matter of minutes. What we're going to do now is we're going to import that PDF document. I'm acknowledging that the fact that I'm not going to use any confidential information. Obviously, this is a public document. It's on a public website. I'm going to take that PDF I was looking at and upload that. It's funny, it's not that big, but man, is it dense. And now we're going through the ISD Advisor. This is Course Avenue Studio. The first thing we do is we break it down into each individual word, and we measure it. And what we're doing there is basically what that screen said was you really have about almost 200 pages of content. It's 58 pages of PDF, but if you were to cut and paste that PDF into a Word document and make it 11-pitch font, it's going to be about 199 pages, what we came up with. We actually calculate the words, average number of words per page, and come up with what I call the ISD Advisor pages. How much actual content is in that document versus, again, a page count can be nebulous because you may have a document that has cover pages and intentionally left blank pages and the like, and we just want the actual core content. Once we have that, we've parsed the document, we understand it. Now we come up with an instructional design. We've taken that document and said, hey, here's a summary of what this course could be about after looking at analyzing all those pages. And this is really important. Here's the learning objectives. I asked before, what should someone know after reading that document? Well, arguably, it's these eight. I'm not going to go through all these in detail, but it's these things. And here's the whole module breakdown. So now what I'm going to do is tell Course Avenue ISD Advisor, okay, fine. Go ahead and create the content. In other words, you have an instructional design, you have a course summary, you have learning objectives, you have a module breakdown. Now, please go back through that document, all arguably 100 pages of PDF or 100 pages in that document, and map all the content into something I can learn from. Now, I'm just going to let this run. It's going to take a while. I'll probably just put a timer on, but I'm going to let it run. And what it's basically doing now is going through, okay, we have 6 sessions. Section 1, it's going to go through and parse everything about horse protections relative to the first learning objective and the first element in that outline. I'm just going to let this go and be quiet for a little bit. Okay, we're back. It did a lot of work. It generated an entire e-learning course based on that content. We're going to keep going. And just for the heck of it, we're going to tell it I want a final exam and if it can find any glossary terms in the document. Sometimes that's a challenge. Sometimes glossary terms are easy to find. Sometimes they're not. As a part of this step, we always generate knowledge checks. In other words, we have content, we have an outline, we have learning objectives. Let's create some knowledge checks after each section for learner interactivity, just to make sure that we understand that the learner is actually gaining knowledge as they're going through this. Again, the point of what we're going through right now is to create a draft course. Traditionally, that has taken months of effort. In other words, start by doing ISD work on the document, come up with an outline, maybe a storyboard, have multiple revisions, come to terms with all that, start mapping the content. Well, all that was done in about 6 minutes. Now we're generating, it's actually a little bit more than the final exam. It's generating and kind of finalizing all of the course content. I'm just going to let this run for another second or two, and then we'll be ready to edit the course. Well, there we go. Okay. Well, let me create the course now. This is just kind of a text outline summary of what's going on. This is more about what the real deal is. Continue. What it's doing now is importing the course into the studio editor. In other words, up until this time, we've had a heck of a lot of text. Well, that's great, but how do you operationalize that? How do you actually do something with the text? Well, let me go over to my main menu here and click on List View. And here's my new Horse Protection Regulations _import created just moments ago. What I'm going to do is I'm going to launch the Course Avenue Studio Editor. And what I have here is, well, look at that. I have the course overview and the learning objectives. We have prohibited practices, all the content organized in a way anybody can learn from it. We have the knowledge check questions. I think we're using a combination of true, false, and or multiple choice. And we even have a 5-question final exam. I can actually preview this. And aside from just previewing it, this now is available for what I call enterprise editing. Anyone that can update PowerPoint presentations can actually enter and edit and maintain this content. But we have the course overview. These are the things that were important in the document per the ISD advisor. Is it spot on? Is it ready to be shipped out? No. It's meant to be reviewed now, but we've gone from a 58-page PDF file to education. And now we've sped up the process so much, I can now focus on actually making this more engaging, adding and manipulating and changing the knowledge check questions. But I have education that started with information, all done in a matter of minutes. And that is the future. And we appreciate your time. Talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.